Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Pink Nest Podcast. It's very early for me and very late for my guest today. Dear Lindsay is with me. Lindsay, thank you so much for taking the time and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. So we always start at the beginning. What was your childhood like? What I don't know. We always say our childhoods shape our stories as an adult. Was it the same for you? Do you have this feeling? What were you like? What was Lindsay like as a
Um,
child?
well, I started talking on time, but I didn't start walking until I was 19 months old. Um, I was diagnosed at the BC Children's Hospital in Vancouver, BC when I was just 11 years old. But I was actually misdiagnosed with autism quite a few times because it wasn't as common as it is today. And so now a lot of people are getting diagnosed with autism every day, but when I was diagnosed, it wasn't really common.
Hmm. And do you remember this moment when you got your diagnosis? Is this something that you remember, or were you too young to
Yes.
remember? You were.
I remember getting diagnosed. I've changed my mindset a lot over the years. But when I got that first initial diagnosis, I was very upset. I remember crying because I didn't want to be told that I was different and that my chances of reaching milestones would be slower than others my age. And over the years, I've had to really pivot what I thought my life would look like. It's not exactly the path I thought I would be on. But I'm still really proud of how far I've come despite the challenges I do face every day, but it's definitely not exactly the way I envision my life to go.
Mm. And so how did you envision your life to go prior to that? I mean, what different course did it take in a way? Because not everything is bad, right? I mean,
Mhm. Yeah, I thought I would have kids a certain age. I thought I would be married a certain age, have a boyfriend or a significant other, own a house. Like there's a lot of dreams, goals, and visions I had that I thought my life would look like at a certain age. I'm still really I passed my driving license on the first try. Both road tests I passed on the first try, including the knowledge test. So I am quite smart and I'm not going to give up on those dreams, but I hope one day they happen for me.
I'm sure they will. You know how they say we just need to keep going. Yeah, and just in a life that we are. I mean, I think it's really important. As I said, choosing the positive outlook on life, I think it's also super important. Um, how, so what you've mentioned something in a description that really landed with me. You said this poor me phase, which was something that I
Yes.
found it. Are you able to explain a little bit? You mentioned going through this poor me mindset. What did this period look like? And how long did it take before you started questioning this narrative? Because I think that this is quite a normal feeling, particularly for a child. I mean, I would not expect a lot of different like experiences.
Yes. So when I was diagnosed in grade six, I was really, really upset because I didn't want to hear that I was different and that my chances of reaching milestones would be slower than others. So like the past 5 to 7 years, I've really changed my mindset. It was really hard in the beginning because even when people used to talk about my autism, I used to get quite cranky about it because I didn't want others to know that I even had it. Because when people talked about it, it was like, this is my story to share, not yours. And I'm not ready to like accept that I'm different in a way. And so over the years, I have worked really hard on changing my mindset. And I've had a lot of like positive influences in my life and people that I'm no longer friends with, but people have shaped my life. And one person in particular that shaped my life was my grandpa. He is no longer here, but he's in heaven, I hope. I don't know where he is, anyways, but he really shaped my life because he had a lot of challenges in his life. He had a lot of things he dealt with, but he always kept a positive outlook on life. And it didn't matter what he went through, he was still happy for every day that he got to wake up and grateful for his grandchildren. And I'm really, really grateful that he was my grandpa because he showed me that even though there are dark times in this world and in this life, we can pick and choose the path that we get to be on. Not every day is great, but there's in fact something good in every day. And I'm just grateful for every day that I get a chance to wake up and be an inspiration for others.
Yeah, it's actually, we always say like it's the small things, but at the end that they turn out to be big things, right?
Yes.
Tell me about Inspiring Essentials. How you decided to start advocating for Instagram,
Mhm.
and yeah, a little bit more about it. Eager to
Yes,
hear.
so Inspiring Essentials came about because over the years I've changed my mindset. And so Inspiring Essentials is not just my community. I like to look at it as a community for like-minded individuals that have autism and aren't diagnosed yet, and also those that have autism and also supporters of autism that want to learn more about it, because Inspiring Essentials is so important to me, and it's a community of like-minded individuals to come together to learn more about navigating life on the autism spectrum. And one thing that's really positive that's actually come out of this is I've met so many inspirational and positive people through my Instagram account. Actually, his name is Martin. You probably know him. He's
Hmm.
the reason I'm on your podcast. He actually told me about you, and I'm really grateful for him. And then another friend I have is Alicia. And because of that Instagram page I have, she actually invited me to be a bridesmaid for her wedding. And I was actually a bridesmaid for the very first time, and I got to give a speech and just share in front of the whole crowd about how much she means to me and how my life has changed since meeting her.
Mm. This is the positive thing. It's actually amazing. I mean, usually we are not so positive and a little bit reluctant when we speak about social media, right? But
Yeah.
on the other hand, they can bring. I mean, it can bring really a lot of interesting people. It was similar for me. I mean, look, if I hadn't have a conversation with Martin, I would never met you. So it's interesting because you are
Yeah, and
sitting on the
actually,
other side of the world.
I have his book. I had to share it. This is
Uh-huh.
so special to me. I've been holding on to this for a while, and I can't wait for him to sign it one day because I have two goals in life. One is to meet Martin, and another goal I have is to speak on a TED Talk one day. But like, he's just so inspirational to me, and I'm so grateful for him every day.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. I'm sure he will be.
Hmm.
I will definitely let him know
Yeah.
about your podcast too when it gets live. One thing that also landed with me is acceptance versus awareness. And I think this is super important, particularly for neurotypical people to understand, because you're very big on autism acceptance rather than just awareness. What's the difference and why is this distinction so important?
Well, for me, I feel like because Autism Acceptance Month is next month in April, and Autism Acceptance Day is actually April 2nd, but I feel like every day should be accepted. We should accept autism every single day. Yes, awareness is great. We need to understand it. But when it comes to accepting others, no matter what our differences are, we may be different, but we shouldn't be looked at as less because everyone has a story to share. And just because you've met one person on the autism spectrum, that's great, but everyone has a story to share. I always like to think of it as like accept others no matter what, because we all have to think of the golden rule: treat others the way you want to be treated, and it's really important.
Mm. And I think one of the biggest things that comes comes up very often in my conversations in podcast is that people are usually afraid of things that they don't know about. It's always like this reluctancy towards, it's not even so much about acceptance, but people are just, yeah, not educated or not aware of what, how to behave, how does it look like. So, and this is also one of the reasons I think why this yeah, this reservedness comes from, let's put it like this. But I think I totally agree with you. I think that we should be having awareness and acceptance every day and not just, I mean, it's great to have a whole month dedicated to it and a whole day as well. We also know it was Neurodiversity Week now and so on. So I think this is great, but I think it should be every week, not just 1 week per year. Um, what does it look like for you, just navigating life on the spectrum, like day to day? What challenges people not see from your opinion or understand? What's the most common ones?
Well, one for me is repetition. I try really hard not to overwhelm people, but when I get excited or have so much in my brain and on my mind, it's really hard sometimes because I can overload and text people so many times, and it's hard for me to wait for a response. And I'm like, oh, I have so much to say, but I need to learn how to wait. But also with autism, sometimes it's hard to pick up on social cues, and if I don't hear a response, sometimes well, all the time I worry if they don't get back to me, are they mad at me? Did I do something wrong? What happened?
Mm, I think this is really common. You're not the first one to tell me that. So it's a common line within the spectrum, I would say. Tell me now also a little bit about mental health. This is something you and I are both very passionate about. And we know that one of four people struggle with mental health. How has your experience with anxiety shaped your understanding of mental wellness? Because I think it is super important. And for us on the spectrum, it's even more important, I would say. And I would like to hear your opinion on it as well.
Yes, so 1 in 4 people actually struggle with their mental health, like you said, and the only way we're gonna end the stigma is by talking about it. I feel like a lot of people are afraid to talk about their mental health because there's such a stigma around it, and people don't even know how to talk about it. And sometimes they're afraid of judgment. Like, I know for me, it took a long time for me to open up about my struggles. And so I'm really grateful because over the years I've changed my mindset. But it's really hard sometimes because when I was growing up, I used to isolate myself a lot and sit in the corner because I was afraid of what others would think of me. Because, like I said, I'm different, but not less. But it was hard because I didn't want to be looked at as somebody who was different. And so I've worked really hard over the years on pushing myself out of my comfort zone. And my word for 2026 is actually growth because growth is so important to me. And the only way we're going to end the stigma is by talking about our mental health. And the only way we're going to grow is by stepping out of our comfort zone and doing things even when we're scared and even when we're nervous.
Yeah, you're saying exactly the same words as I am, because I'm also very vocal about this. I think stigma is really one of the biggest issues, and we definitely need to work on breaking this stigma because otherwise things will never change and we will always be in the same situation, not talking about it and having this hidden suffering in a way which is not helping obviously anybody. Um, you also doing something that focused on gut health. And this is also something I would like to hear a little bit more because I think it is super important. So please tell me a little bit more about that.
Yes, so my business is actually called Amare, and Amare actually stands for love in Latin, and it's such an important company to me because for a long time I struggled with my mental health. Gut health is really important because it's just changed the way I look at life. And I used to really struggle with my skin, for instance, and there's so many things that actually stem from gut health. And so when we don't take care of our gut health, um, things can overwhelm us and even it affects our mental health too because when we have good gut health it actually affects the way we think, act, and feel, and happiness is really important, and when we put good things into our body it actually impacts the way we see the world.
True, so very true. I really agree with everything you say. How do you feel has like the not just understanding, but also do you feel that these kind of improvements like gut health, mental health, are these things on the rise? Do you feel that things have changed in the past few years to the better? Like people have more understanding, they are more aware of us and the things that are needed to live a better life or not? What's your opinion? Particularly, I would like to hear how it is in the States.
A lot of times I think we take 10 steps forward and 2 steps back, but personally for me, I think the world is going in the right direction. We still have a lot of work to do, but personally, I think that we have a lot of good things, and I think there's a lot of resources now, even meditation and music and supplements and all these things that actually help our mental health, and every day something new is coming out. So I think it's really important to focus on the good things in our lives and the positives instead of all the negatives. And we do have some areas to work on, but I think we're in the right direction.
Mm. I'm really glad to hear this because a lot of people are complaining that we are maybe, I mean, we maybe are going too slow, but at least, like you said, it's 10 steps forward and two backwards, which is still better than 10-10. So,
Yeah.
absolutely. I was also reading when you send me your messages, and you are describing yourself as an empath, which is the same as I am. How does that sensitivity show up in your advocacy work and your business? Do you think it's a good thing or not?
Sorry, what did you say?
The empath, being an empath.
Oh, yes. Yes, I'm very empathetic and I care a lot about others. That's one big thing for me is I feel others' emotions really strongly. And when others are going through things, I feel it personally. And so I'm quite emotional. And I think that's really impacted my life in a lot of ways because my sister, for instance, she has had two different kinds of cancer, and I've lost a lot of people in my life that I was close to. From a young age, I knew what it was like to lose people, and so that's been really hard on my heart. But also, being an empath can be quite draining a lot of times because I'm so focused on helping others, but then when I feel others' pain and step into what they are going through and step into their shoes, it's quite difficult because I don't know what they're going through, but I feel it really strongly.
Mm. And one common thing that we have as an empath, I think it's just focusing more on helping others and not taking care of ourselves too much or not enough. I think this is at least how I experience life. So it's really important for us empaths to focus on our own health and our own well-being as well. At least try to as much as possible.
Yes, and I
Um,
think self-care too. When
mm.
we focus on others, it's also good to remember to focus on ourselves and pour into ourselves the way that we also pour into others.
Yes, absolutely. All right, we're coming to the last question. Time really flew. For someone who's been recently diagnosed with autism or for parents of autistic children, I'm sure everybody's a little bit worried about the future. We all know, we don't know how it will look like. What would you like them to know? What would be your message to them?
My message to others would be don't give up and keep looking towards the future because better days are hopefully ahead of us. And even when we don't see the good in life, try and focus on one thing to be grateful for every day because every day might not be good, but there's in fact something good every day and something to be grateful for every day.
Thank you. I think this is such a powerful message. Lindsay, thank you so much for taking the time
Thank you.
for being a guest on my podcast. Where can people find you? You can also say this. So you're on
Yes, so
Instagram.
yes, on Instagram and Inspiring Essentials, and also on Facebook at Positivity Around Life on the Autism Spectrum.
Perfect. Thank you, Lindsay, and thank you for taking the time such a late in the evening and so early morning for me. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.